Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Friday here on the Hot Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm Walsh, your host, Taylor Hot Patriot, and for today's episode, we are going to talk about Columbus, specifically the Democrats in the mayor's office and city council breaking state law to go anti-gun and pass completely unconstitutional ordinances that completely break state law when it comes to home rule and stuff like that, is what it is. Specifically where you cannot pass anything that is stricter than what the state has in place. There's what it is, which is what people are doing now, and how, for some retarded reason, the state Supreme Court has now signed off on their fuckery to basically force an injunction on their side of it to do a bunch of chicanery, is what it is, to where they can then fuck everybody over and force gun owners, me like myself, you, etc., to have to pay more money to fight them in the courts, is what it is now. So it's complete BS. It needs to be just totally done away with what it is now. And enough is enough of this shit, honestly, dude. It's time for oath breakers to be put in prison where they belong. Specifically, what we're going to talk about here for this ban, it's a mag ban. And it's usually what they pull, honestly. That's the first thing they usually pull. It's either that, or it's some kind of red flag law horse shit, or it's some other garbage like that's what it is there. Obviously, I got my new mag pull hat on that I picked up here about a week or so ago on sale. They had it for the big deal days there on Amazon. And I couldn't pass it up, dude. It was like just under $13, where normally this same hat is like $26, $27 on there, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like, it should be, like, the normal price should be like $13 to $15, honestly. And the sale price should be like $6 to $10, honestly. But yeah, feels comfortable in the head, though. Like it a lot. I also, today, was able to pick up this hat right here. That has a nice double back on it there, which is a Smith & Wesson emblem hat, which I ended up getting when I picked up my new Smith & Wesson. So, yeah, good times. I finally have a 1522 again after 5 years, because obviously the original one, for those who don't know, that's what we're going to talk about the second part of today's episode, which is the Firearms Recovery Act that I've been trying to get passed here for the past year or so now. I started talking to State Rep Tex Fisher roughly about a year ago now about this whole thing. He still has not gotten it introduced as any kind of legislation. He still has not done anything really to go forward with it. Because the thing is, and I'm not going to lie, it would be kind of difficult because it would be some of the moving parts of what it is there, because when you're talking about money and essentially state reimbursement for, you know, cops refusing to do their job or just not having the resources to do their job in time is what it is there, you have to basically add the AG's office into stuff. You have to go through a bunch of state stuff like that or whatever, make appropriations and things like that on the whole legislation that'll be done, and go from there. That being said, I think it would be a good piece of legislation if it does get actually introduced and passed eventually, is what it is. So really, I'm going to get back on Tex here in the coming days. I'm also going to get on a few other Republicans that are running for election right now, is what it is, and basically force their hand to either reintroduce this year or potentially talk to some of the candidates after they win the primary here in May and discuss stuff with them if they're going to potentially be, you know, in the right positions of power in the seats and stuff like that to be able to pass this legislation, what it is there. Start discussing things with the pro-2A people that have already taken the hot gun survey and stuff like that, that potentially could be winning these races, and be like, hey, I would like to talk to you potentially in person, is what it is here. And then just meet with them wherever it'll be then. Hopefully I wouldn't have to drive too far, is what it is, but if nothing else, maybe have like some kind of get together at a restaurant with like 10 or 12 of these people, is what it is then. And we just have like a sit down dinner together or something. And then, or even like a lunch or something, if that be the case then. And then we just discuss stuff openly, is what it is then, and be like, hey, like, here's the deal. Like, you know, this is what I'm all about. This is what I want, you know, to have done here, what it is. Because the fact of the matter is this, man, like, when you are a gun owner in this country and you have done everything right in your power to purchase a firearm legally, only to have some dickless piece of shit come and steal it from you, and then you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting to hear back from the police, you're waiting to hear back from detectives, et cetera, et cetera. And these people just never get back to you because they never find these firearms. That's what it is, dude. And that's what I'm saying. And like, and it's not just Ohio, it's nationwide, dude. Like, how many firearms thefts have happened to where the person was pretty much dirt poor. They barely had enough money to afford that firearm to begin with, what it is there. And now that gun is stolen from them. You know, not to mention damage to their home is what it is, or damage to their apartment, whatever it is they're in. That's not going to need to get fixed. And it's like, you know, like that psychologically messes people up, honestly, dude. And I can tell you that firsthand. Like, as somebody who has been the victim of firearms theft, like, it messes you up psychologically, dude. It really does. And the fact that, you know, I was still living in my mom's old place after this happened for, you know, like in the 4 years after that. Like, that's a big deal, man. So, but yeah, I finally got enough money to put together now is what it is, and was able to get a redo version of that gun that I had stolen then. So really at this point, if I was to do stuff, I'd want the Firearms Recovery Act to be a state law as what it is right now, so I could just enact it myself as what it is then, because I would just want to, you know, reimbursement of what was taken from me financially is what it is there, because that would cover, you know, what I end up having to put out today to purchase there is what it was, and go from there. Now, granted, what I got today was a little bit different than what I had stolen, obviously, because what I had stolen, it was a different variation of the 1522. It had the little MP, like red dot scope thing on is what it is. It's maybe about yay big, give or take. I'm not sure how much those actually go for. Normally, I think the scope itself is like, because it has the Smith & Wesson name on it. Obviously, it's like $60 to $80, something like that. What it is there for just that little scope piece, red dot thing. And of course, I set it up different ways. Is what it is. Added extra stuff to it there, and it just made it more expensive than when it was all stolen then. And the thing that pisses me off the most about the whole thing, honestly, is when it got stolen, because you had, you know, like I said, and I've told this story before, I'll tell you right now. So basically going back to where my mom used to live before she passed, obviously, and where I lived until we sold the property, obviously, which I totally disagree with, honestly, to this day. And I really wish I still lived there, is what it is. But, you know, I've been living in the apartment here for the last year or so now, and it's not terrible. It's just, like I said, I wish there was a lot more insulation on these walls is what it is, or at least like maybe like some thicker like concrete or something like that's what it is there or something. But yeah, because old Mickey is really getting on my nerves these days. I was sleeping in a chair here the other day and he woke me up with dead fucking sleep at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night is what it was. Some of his buddies had come in and done stuff, and then it's like 3 or 4 days later, which is I think it's past Monday or Tuesday. I don't know if this kid's like working like some weird like second shift almost in the graveyard is what it is there, or what's going on, because it sounded like it was about 1:30 in the morning. He like came through his door with somebody, so I don't know if they were like had gone out to get drinks or something, or if he like was working a different shift and then coming home with someone, girlfriend, friend, whoever it was. I'm not sure exactly. Person that was driving him from work to his apartment, whatever it was there. But yeah, he was just like hollering. He was as bad as fucking Don's ass used to be, is what it was. So, which by the way, I'm still writing that book about the 270 days of hell. I think it was actually 273 days, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it'll be called something like that, 273 days of hell. And then maybe a secondary tagline or something on there then. I actually made up a different thing for it the other day. Well, not the other day. I was looking at my notes from like a year ago or so when I was, not quite a year ago, about maybe 6 months ago or so when I was writing that stuff. And it was originally going to be called the N&B, a year of psychological terror and deterioration. Because I'll tell you what, dude, like when you are not getting sleep from people just being assholes constantly, like it does psychologically deteriorate your mental state really badly. And I can tell you that firsthand. And like I said, you can tell a difference obviously from the streams I did about 6-8 months ago to this one I'm doing right now is what it is. Because new neighbor Lady Holly's over there now. So, which I don't know if I had mentioned that. I ended up having a date with her about 9 days ago on the 1st, and we went over to Dairy Queen. It wasn't too bad. It was about maybe between the time we left here and the time we got back, it was about maybe 45 minutes to an hour almost. So it wasn't super long, but it wasn't super short either. We basically went there, got some food, ate, talked on the way there, talked in the restaurant, talked on the way back. And, I was getting ready to set something up with her for a second date. And then, she just never got hold of me. That was what it is. So, I don't know. It's weird. I'm pretty sure she's there right now, too, if I'm not mistaken. Which I think everybody's pretty much home right now is what it is, just because it's been super rainy today. Went out to get my chiropractic adjustment for the week is what it is. To do that every couple weeks is what it is now. At least once a month anyway. And ended up getting that done. Went up to Finn, got the 1522, and because they were having their Smith & Wesson days, got the cool free hat with purchase. She also put some other cool stuff in there too. There was I think it was like a Magpul sticker, and then there's like a like Smith & Wesson kind of emblem, like sticker thing or whatever you can put on. I don't know if it's put on like gun safes or like something like that or whatever, or like maybe like a gun cabinet or whatever. So I may have to check that out, put them on there if that's the case there. Maybe I probably won't do it while I'm here, obviously. I'll probably do it when I move out of here and go to different places what it is, move the gun locker to one place or whatever there. Because it might be a situation where I put different ones on different, because I'm going to pick up a second gun locker at some point on the feature. Here's what it is. And I think that second one's probably just going to be simply for ammunition and other, like probably ammunition and handguns is my thinking, honestly, on that one. In the one, and then the other one will just be long guns, AR, shotguns, etc. There, what it is. So, but yeah, it's a whole thing. But yeah, it was interesting to go up there and do that today, is what it was. And yeah, my cousin got to talking with the Smith & Wesson rep that was up there, which is bullshit with people. And I thought it was pretty funny because I was getting ready to leave, and I wanted to tap him on the shoulder because he was talking to the rep guy. And I didn't realize it was Smith & Wesson rep. If I had known that, I would have talked to myself for probably 5 minutes, honestly. But when I was walking on the conversation they were having, all I hear this rep guy say is, and then he shot him in the face. And I'm just like, what kind of conversation escalates at that point, dude? Like, so I'm guessing he was talking about like a self-defense encounter, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff though. I just find it kind of hilarious though, just because you don't really think about that when you're in a gun shop. People are like talking about that kind of stuff, or whatever there. But yeah, it's interesting, man. And it's a situation now where I think it's more vitally important now that we have something like the Firearms Recovery Act in place here in Ohio. And that's the thing, like, this is what bothers me so much about people that are in power or want to get into power is what it is. They're like, oh, I want to be the first this at something. I want to be the first that at something. Okay, then be the first person that is going to sponsor this kind of legislation and let Ohio, for one time in history, be the first state at something, dude. Have us be a fucking trendsetter is what it is for Second Amendment rights is what it is here. Have stuff that actually helps out the everyman, that if they've had a firearm stolen, they can actually get some kind of monetary reimbursement off of it. So, and we're going to go over the whole thing. Here's what it is of what the actual Firearms Recovery Act will look like is what it is. So basically, like I said, this was done about a year ago. So at the time, it would have been the Firearms Recovery Act of 2025. Now it will be the Firearms Recovery Act of 2026. But it basically goes as follows. When a firearm is stolen and the police report is taken, that's the big thing, by the way, is that none of this kicks in until the police report is actually taken. and it's on file that this gun has been stolen is what it is then. So if you were to have a gun stolen and you didn't know about it for like a year or something like that, you know, it doesn't like automatically go back that year or whatever. It's whenever you realize it's missing, realize it's stolen, whatever the case be, and you would file that police report of, hey, you know, this shotgun is now gone, this AR is now gone, this 1522 is now gone, this handgun is now gone, whatever the case be, there is what it is. So, yeah, basically, it starts from there and goes, you know, from that date forward for a single year is what it is then. So, yeah, this is pretty much as it would be written, at least from my, you know, non-lawyer perspective. I'm sure there's lawyers out there that are in the state house that would probably muck it up a little bit and make it better wording or something like that's what it is there, or make it like sound better or something like that or whatever. But essentially, what it boils down to being is when a firearm is stolen and a police report is taken, police departments have 1 year to recover said firearm. If in that 365-day period they fail to recover such firearm, after that date being the 366th day, so let's say, for instance, today is April 10th, 2026. So somebody has their gun stolen today. They file a police report sometime tonight is what it is. The cops then have until April 10th of 2027 to recover that firearm. If they cannot recover that firearm by April 10th, 2027, on April 11th of 2027, that person that had their firearm stolen a year and a day previous to that could then file a report with the state of, hey, this gun was stolen over a year ago. Police still have not found it, et cetera, et cetera. Here is the monetary value of it. Here is what needs to be reimbursed. Here is paperwork and stuff like that proving this is what you know, it was worth and what I paid for it, et cetera, et cetera. There's what it is. And then from there, you would then have that claim of reimbursement put into the state of Ohio's claims thing, what it is. I'm not sure if that would be the AG's office where exactly would be there for the value of said stolen firearm. If at any point after this claim is filed and paid out, because basically it would take, like I would think honestly, like it would take like 30 days from the time it gets filed to the time it can be paid out, basically, like give that, you know, that extra month or so, give or take. Because that way you're not only giving the cops, you know, that extra month of time where they could find that gun somehow, possibly, potentially. You're also giving that person, you know, a little bit of extra hope that, hey, maybe their gun will still be recovered in this time period before they get the payout or whatever the case be. But obviously at that point, they would then get paid out. And if the gun is ever recovered after that payout happens from the original owner of the claim and stuff like that, who was the owner of the firearm, is what it is. Yeah, I write this out here now. Yeah, if at any point after the claim is filed and paid out, if the original firearm is recovered by any police department or federal agency, the weapon in question then becomes state property and can be resold to the general public with any money from the sale going to the department that recovered it, or it can be kept to be used for training or testing by any state agency, etc. However, that firearm can never be destroyed. We could also add something else into that as well, where you could essentially have the original owner getting a first dibs kind of thing. If, like, obviously after they already got paid out for the, you know, loss of the gun and stuff like that, let's say that they would want to buy their gun back, potentially, you know, an actual legitimate gun buyback, if you will, because they actually owned it, unlike these fucking dickhead DAs and prosecutors and fucking politicians in general. They're all like, let's host a gun buyback for guns that we never fucking owned, and then give these people peons for their actual good firearms, where it's like $100 gift card or some bullshit like that. It's like, no. You can then potentially sell it back to that person, or they can choose not to have it back, is what it is then. And again, it still would become state property at that point, is what it is then. And my thing is, I think what we would see a lot of, honestly, it would be, there's a good one that came to West Virginia the other day, actually, where it was, I forget exactly who the guy was, if he was like a county DA or if he was, I don't think he was the AG of West Virginia, but he was something else, though. Like some state level position, someplace in there or whatever then. He actually had the brilliant idea to take a whole bunch of guns that were in police inventory at that time that had been, I'm guessing, used in crimes and stuff like that, and then never were potentially even were murder weapons for that matter, who knows. But yeah, it was like all these guns that were like police evidence essentially that are now being sold off by the state of Virginia in this particular county area, wherever it is there. Where, again, it's something similar I had here is what it is, where all the money going from the sales of them, those guns there that were just being left in an evidence locker pretty much, are now going to be auctioned off to people. And then the money is going to go straight to the department for various stuff that they would need, you know, whether it be new lights for their vehicles or whether it be, you know, maybe getting another canine unit or something on the force there or something like that is what it is, so they can train another dog or something. Or even like police vests for the dogs, you know, all that kind of stuff, honestly. And that's, or even like ammunition for that matter, for their firearms would be then. So, but yeah, that's the whole point, though, is what it is like, you should be having these kind of things. You should be having this kind of legislation on the books right now, is what it is, to make a better country, to make this nation better overall and more efficient overall. And just have it be, you know, giving back to the people that had crimes done against them and had their property stolen, what it is there. Because the fact of the matter is, you know, the fact that it took me personally over 5 years to make up enough money to be able to get a replacement firearm for what was stolen from me, that's ridiculous, dude. And the fact that in that 5-year time span that these cops still have not found my gun is even more fucking ridiculous. Which, it's not quite been 5 years yet. It'll be, this July will be the actual 5th year, so it's about 4 years and 9 months right now, but that's still close enough, honestly. And yeah, like the fact that I said, like, it's been almost 5 years now is what it is. A couple months shy right now is what it will be. And they still have, and the fucked up part is, like, when you actually go to the timeline of events that happened at my old house, there's what it was. So you had, it was May of that year. I had gone out, and because there was a 4-month time span, there was what it was. So you had, it was May, I was out in the backyard there, because there was like a field, there was a field entrance towards the field in the back there of our 10 acres before we sold it off, obviously. And I was setting up targets, there was what it was, and I was, you know, using the 1522 and everything else like that. To, yeah, it should be nice. It only cost me, you know, the purchase of a Smith & Wesson today. So, anyway. But, yeah, going back to what I was saying, though. So, yeah, I had the original 1522 out there in the back of the field there. And I should say the entrance of the field is what it was there. And, you know, I was firing off at some random, I think it was paper targets or something like that was what it was. And then I turned around because I was out from the first mag, and I was changing mags what it was. Looked back, and right by my old mailbox there were 2 random dudes just like looking and staring. And I'm just like I almost confronted them right then and there. I should have, honestly, because I should have been like, hey, the fuck's your problem? Like, why are you here? Like, get the fuck off my property, essentially, because technically they were seeing right on the mailboxes what it was there. And the thing was, like, I don't know if you guys remember when I talked about that before, like, the way that back road was set up, dude, because it was like it wasn't really a back road, it was like a side road is what it was. But there was so little traffic there, like, anybody walking down a road is suspicious as fuck, especially when they're going to stand, like, right in front of your fucking driveway. There's what it is. So, but yeah, so basically, that was May of 2021. I saw these 2 suspicious characters, and I should have confronted them right then and there. I probably should have just called cops right then and there is what it was. and been like, hey, there's two guys like prowling around my property. Like, please come check this out or whatever. But I didn't think too much of it, obviously. And honestly, I should have been carrying as well, for that matter. Yeah, this is the story for that. So yeah, I didn't really think too much of it, obviously. And then I went, I was like, okay, whatever. Let's go back inside, take my stuff inside as what it was then, and then, went from there is what it is. So flash forward from, I forget what day in May that was. It was probably like mid-May, like 13th, 15th, something like that is my guess. So flash forward to early June. I think it's around my mom's birthday, maybe a couple days after that. So it would have been like maybe the 11th or 12th, give or take. I'm sitting in my old chair. Obviously, she was sitting in this recliner that I'm sitting in right now is what it is. She was all like nodding off and stuff like that. And I'm like, I heard like something outside, and it's like 2:30 in the morning. And I'm like, that's fucking weird. Like, why does it sound like somebody's outside or whatever? And I'm like, should I go outside and check it out? No, it can't be anybody out there, whatever the case be. Sure enough, there totally was. So when Mom had her old van, these motherfuckers, who I'm pretty sure the same two guys that were there looking at my stuff in May, came back then in June, went under the van with some kind of Sawzall or something similar to that, and literally cut out her catalytic converter from her van. We know about that, obviously, because it was a few days after that. We had gone to an appointment, and Mom's like, why is it so loud? And then we realized somebody stole our catalytic converter is what it was, because my cousin put it up on the lift then, and he was like, yeah, your pipe is totally missing here. And they put up pipe, and that's what it was then to fix it then. So it wouldn't make the crazy loud muffler sound what it is then. And so that was June. Then it was that July. We had gone down to the farm. This, mind you, showing how long ago this really was. This was literally about, I'm trying to think now. This was about 4 months before my uncle passed, then is what it was. So we were down there in July. It was myself, my mom, aunt, uncle. They were the ones that owned the farm, obviously. Aunt still owns the farm. My cousin, Keith, as well as, I think it was it 3 of his 4 kids? Was it? Oh, I'm sorry, the whole family was there. So it would have been his 2 daughters, his 2 sons, and then his wife. So, and then I can't remember. I think a couple of my other aunts were there as well too, for that matter, because it was like a family get together or whatever. So it would have been, let's see, myself, Mom, Uncle Ralph, Keith, his family of 5, so that's 10. His mother was also there, I believe, so she would have been coming from Florida then, so it would be 11. And then I think maybe 14, 15 people, give or take, were there that day. And that's what I told my mom that morning. I'm like, I'm feeling kind of shitty, maybe I should just stay home or whatever. And she was like, no, your cousins are here. They want to see you. Your uncle's down there. Obviously, he wants to see you too. You obviously want to go fishing, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm feeling kind of, because I was having like stomach issues at that time, obviously. Because this is like about 5 years out from when I had my colon cancer surgery back in 2016. And so we end up going into a situation then where I was like, I started to feel a little bit better. I think my mom got me like some ginger ale or something like that to take, as it was. Because obviously that was like the go-to medicine back in the day for everything. It seemed like when you were sick or having like a fever or anything like that, it was like, oh yeah, here's a glass of ginger ale. And it's like, okay. I mean, it seemed to work, obviously. Not really sure how it worked, because there was no ginger in that at all, is what it is. So it's literally just a bunch of sugar and carbonated stuff is what it is there. But anyway, so yeah, I ended up feeling better then, and we ended up leaving. And sure enough, while we were gone that day, I'm thinking this is around, because we were down at the farm. We would have left about maybe 9 or 10 that morning, I think. I think we was like 10 or so, give or take, that morning. And then we ended up getting back around, I think it was like 7. somewhere between like 7 and 8 that night, I believe is what it was. So let's say around 7:30, 7:45, something like that. It was already dark by the time we got back then. And then going to that, obviously, like branching off of that for a minute, this was the only time in history where I realized if you're going to properly room clear, don't just, go in there, start to clear, and then realize like, oh shit, somebody might have stolen my guns that are already at the place, and then just kind of ditch like an entire room is what it is. That's kind of what I did back in those days. I started to do the room clear stuff. There totally could have been somebody hiding in the dining room at the time there. And yeah, I would have definitely gotten murked. I would have gotten a bullet to the back of the head, honestly, if there had been somebody in there with a gun. So that was my only mistake I made that night when I was doing room clearing stuff. But yeah, sure enough, we got back to the house is what it was. And my mom looks down and she's like, what the hell is this? Because there was like a piece of wood sitting there, and she's like, that's weird. I don't remember there being wood sitting here. What's going on? Then she looks like she pulls open the what do you call it now? The screen door then, and she's like, what the fuck? I don't know if she said what the fuck. I think maybe I said what the fuck. And she was like, what the hell is this or something? And then she realized like there was the piece of wood that was on the ground outside was from the door that had been kicked in, obviously. So what ended up happening was we had the deadbolt engaged when we left there, and they end up kicking. We think they probably did a mule kick or two on the doors that it was then, which splintered the wood that was like really old there for like decades. And obviously the screws that were in the deadbolt kick plate there were not very long, is what it was. So it basically just like broke off the wood chunk that was there, and they were able to break into the house, is what it was. And this probably happened, my guess was around 3 o'clock or so that afternoon, is what it was there. And the reason I said obviously is because my old neighbor guy that used to live there, it was around like 3:15, 3:20, something like that afternoon, that he had basically seen these two dudes walking up the street, is what it was, with a backpack. One of them had a backpack on, which I think what they did is they folded down the 1522 into it and then just shoved it in the backpack and tried to zip it up as good as possible was there. And because I was talking to my other neighbor guy that was on the other side, Dan was a good dude. He still is, as far as I'm aware. I'm pretty sure he's still alive right now. I need to go back over there one of these days and talk to him and his wife, because they were good people, man. They were the best neighbors we had for like decades of my life. I think they moved in when I was like 9 or 10 years old or something like that, and they were there until I was like almost 40 when I had to move out of that place. So yeah. And they helped us out so much, is what it was, dude. Especially Dan. He used to help us do mowing stuff when our mower wasn't working too well. So yeah, that's what good neighbors do, man. They help you out when you're in need, and you bake them a pie or something, is what it is later on, which we did several times for them, is what it was then. So anyway, but yeah, going back to what I was saying though before that though, it was around like 3 o'clock or so that Dan told me he was out cutting wood. Well, he was sawing wood, is what it was there, and then he stopped sawing for a couple minutes. And what we think it is that these guys had somehow snuck like onto the property, either through the wood line, like they might have come like close to the ditch line and then just like jumped in the woods and then kind of like up the woods and then through the back, is what it was, and then just jumped to the back, is what it is basically. Or it could have been two. They may have even gone down to my neighbor's place, gone through their property, and then just simply zipped it through to our like wooded area there, is what it was. Because if they had done it that way, like nobody would have saw them from the road if they were going by or whatever then, because they would have been hiding in the woods, is basically what it was, or behind the woods is what it is, in the field area, and then coming back through the field and then back into the back there is what it was. But I would assume it was something where they were probably just looking around, or they were probably just walking down the street, is my guess, honestly. And then probably looked around, saw nobody was in the area, ran up real quick through the driveway, realized we weren't there, obviously, got behind to the back door, is what it was there. And obviously when you're back in that little nook area, at least where you were anyway, I don't know if the guy that bought it from us now, if he changed it up or not, but yeah, when you're back in that little nook of the back door area. If you were just like standing back there right by the door, like nobody's going to see you back there is what it is. I know that for a fact because there were several times back in the day where our water from our well was not high enough. And I decided, hey, it's raining pretty heavily outside. Let's go take an outdoor shower is what it is there. And I did that. So, and nobody saw me do that. So, yeah. Needless to say, it was actually kind of fun. I'm not going to lie. Taking a Mother Nature shower there. But it is what it is. Anyway. But yeah, so I guarantee if they were back in that area, there's no way people saw them then. And I'm guessing what it was is because there's multiple. When you look at the actual door itself, there was multiple like kick marks from people's boots is what it is. So I'm guessing you had the one guy that was kind of a pussy, probably like try to kick it like straight on or whatever, not do anything to it. And his buddy was probably like, get out of the way, and just like hold this door open because obviously they've been holding the screen door open. And that dude probably did like a mule kick or two and just knocked it open that way is my guess. And then of course they rushed in and started looking for stuff that it was then. And sure enough, they just happened to find my rifle that was sitting there in the bedroom next to the desk there is what it was. Ironically, had they been smarter about it and spent, I don't know, 2 or 3 more minutes in there, they would have not only got away with the 15-22, they would have gotten away with my 20 gauge and at least 2 handguns that were in the area that were just hiding under stuff, basically. Not to mention how they literally just moved out the fucking chair from the desk there. There was an entire tactical bag full of 15-22 mags there. But because what was I going to say? Because the chair was literally pushed against the desk there, these 2 fucking retards literally just grabbed the gun and ran is what it was. So, yeah. So needless to say, I didn't have to buy any more mags today because I already have like 10 or 12 fucking 15-22 mags at this point, honestly. So, obviously minus the one that was in the gun at the time that they stole it. So, but yeah, it just kind of sucks on that aspect of things. But yeah, so that basically happened mid-July is what it was there. And then it was early August. So fast forward about maybe another 30 days, give or take now. So you had 2 suspicious people in May, catalytic converter stolen about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. In June, house broken into, 15-22 stolen in July. And then come August, there was a house that was, where our house sat there, if you look directly across the street, there was a house that was right here, and then there was a house that was like right back here. That would have been the next house over. That was the people that I used to fish in their pond there, and then they became assholes, and they just told me to basically fuck off, but not really because they were like, oh, we're just going to put signs, there's no fishing now or whatever, which is so stupid. They could just came to me and been like, hey, we don't want you over here anymore or whatever. But it was the house next to them that you had. It was I believe, furnished upstairs apartment in the garage is what it was there. And apparently the guy that was running that in August of 2021 was busted on various drug crimes, specifically the distribution of narcotics, the manufacturing, I believe it was weed. I think it was cultivating weed, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he also had it was either meth or heroin in there too, if I'm not mistaken. And then this is what was crazy, because I even called the detective about it then, and I was like, hey, dude, did you guys question this guy if maybe the dudes that stole my shit a month ago were involved in this? Maybe they were involved with him. Maybe they owed him a drug debt and they simply stole my gun as payment for said drug debt? And they're like, no, we didn't do any of that. And I'm like, well, maybe you should. And they're like, yeah, we'll get right on that. So I don't think they give a fuck at that point, honestly, is what it was. So it kind of sucks, honestly, doing that one. But that's the Stark County Sheriff's Office for you, dude. And like I said, going on almost 5 years later, I still haven't found the damn gun now. That being said, I remember talking to my cousin not long after this happened, 5 years ago. And so that would have been August, September of 21 probably. And he was actually telling me a story of his buddy who had a shotgun stolen. And this was back in probably 2014, 2015, maybe even back in the 2010s, honestly. And when they finally found this dude's shotgun, it was because it wasn't even the same police department. It was some other PD or whatever, like an entire, I don't know if it was like half a state away or if it was like an entire different state or whatever. Then they ended up busting some drug guns, what it was, and there was like 20 guns just sitting in the corner. There was what it was that were all stolen firearms. And yeah, that dude's right there. That dude's shotgun just happened to be one of the stolen long guns that was sitting in the corner. There was what it was. So, and I would assume it's the same thing with my gun, but who knows? I do find it very suspicious though, like going back in time in that history is what it was. I was on. This was back when NEA used to do his Wednesday casts and stuff like that. And this should happen on a Tuesday, by the way, because that was back when I was hanging out with Guns and Barbecue and DJ and company. That's what it was. And yeah, it was maybe 2 hours after that was when we were having that chat about how my shit was stolen or whatever then. After having to talk with House about it and everything else like that. And I'll tell you what, man, it's just a real shit show, basically. But for me personally, obviously, for that whole thing, not to mention the fact that I was living in a crime scene for like 4 years since, or wait, was it? I'm trying to remember now. Yeah, it would have been about roughly a little over 4 years, and I was living in that house as a crime scene then. So, but anyway, yeah, it would have been that next day. Then it would have been the Wednesday after that Tuesday break-in. There was some random dude in NEA's side chat there in the comment section that was like, "Hey, I just got this awesome deal on a Smith & Wesson 1522 from somebody." And I'm like, "Where are you located, bro?" And dude didn't respond back to me. I'm like, "Are you here in Ohio? Did you steal my gun, dude? Because I happen to have that exact same gun stolen yesterday." And yeah, like right after that guy just dipped out is what it was. So either he potentially was one that stole my shit, or he bought it from somebody who stole the shit is what it was. So I just found it very suspicious on that one. I could be completely off mark on that one, but it did seem very suspicious when it happened then. So, but yeah, it's a whole thing though. But and I even gave the detective that lead too, for that matter. I was like, "Hey, like here's this link to this live stream is what it is, brother. Like if you guys want this, if you guys want to check this out, like check this out." And he claimed he did a deep dive or whatever there, but I don't think he was able to, because obviously you're a local detective. You're not having to have the fucking cyber hacking skills to, you know, track down IP addresses and stuff like that. What it is there. And I'm sure that the county budget for the sheriff's office didn't have that ability to do that either. Which I don't. Which the thing about it is too, the fact that it's a stolen firearm. I don't understand why the ATF didn't get involved in that one as well, and just have it go through their database or something. If that be the case, then, and try and track that person down that way is what it would be then, as a potential lead. But yeah, just kind of sucks, bro. And like I said, that was 4 years and 9 months ago now, and nothing has happened since then, unfortunately. So I figure got the money now finally. Let's go and get a new version of the same gun, which the only real difference is that, like I said earlier, the one I originally got back in 2019 that was still in 2021 had the little red/green dot on it there. Had the little Smith & Wesson logo and stuff on there. And I think it was an M&P logo or something like that, what it was. But yeah, they didn't get anything besides that, obviously. One thing I thought was kind of weird too that came in this came with the thing today, here's what it is. And I'm not so sure if this is to do something with the magpul sights or if it's just like a weird piece that doesn't really do anything. But it was this little embossed key. So, because I was trying to see if you could like unscrew the sights or whatever. It didn't really seem to do anything because, and again, it's also metal sights, and this is a little plastic key piece. I'm not sure what the hell this deal is with this, because there was no paperwork in it that said anything about what the key was for is what it is. So I don't know, just weird. Just a weird random insert in that box. So But yeah, instead of it being a dot, it was basically MBus sites, which are pretty good sites, honestly. You know, when you look on Amazon and places like that, it's like usually about $80 to $100. I think that's usually just for the rear one. So yeah, it's got some decent sites on there. I might just take those sites off that one, honestly, and put it on something else that I have that's like my baseline AR or something like that in 5.56. So, and then take the sights on that and put it on this 1522 is what it'll be then. So, but anyway. So yeah, this kind of sucks, dude. But going back to what I was gonna say, I did, but I didn't get the money from the state to replace it. So there you go. Like I'm still, 6 Honda in the hole from the other one over there. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, the other thing I want to talk about today, though, that was vital importance, and this may actually lead to an open carry rally this summer in Columbus, just because fuck these oath breaking pieces of shit is what it is. So you have, this is from Ammo Land a couple of days ago. Columbus magazine ban lives on as Ohio High Court allows appeal of injunction. So the battle to defend Second Amendment in Ohio took an unwelcome turn with a recent state Supreme Court ruling that gives anti-gun municipalities new tools to fight injunctions blocking their unconstitutional ordinances, which, like I said earlier, this completely breaks state law when it comes to state preemption is what it is here. And that's like a big thing, right? This is why we've been fighting Columbus as a whole for literally decades now is what it is. Hang on, I need to see if I can get rid of that fucking side stuff. Here's what it is. These little adverts or whatever here, because there's some random ones I don't really want to have them on camera there. No, it won't let me do that. So let's see if I can just do a little, what you call it here. Actually, I can just read down here is what it'll be until that point, and I can just pull it up a little bit then. Yeah, so battle for Second Amendment in Ohio has taken an unwelcome turn in the recent state Supreme Court ruling that gave anti-gun municipalities new tools to fight injunctions blocking unconstitutional ordinances. Ohio's preemption state. Local governments lack the authority to enact gun control measures beyond the state law explicitly permits. But Columbus decided to test those limits anyway. In December 2022, City Council approved 2 ordinances targeting gun owners. The first banned large capacity magazines capable of holding more than 30 rounds. The second created a new offense of negligent storage of a firearm, which, by the way, both of those break state preemption and have since then what it is. It's on here. It says 6 anonymous citizens brought a lawsuit challenging both measures as violations of the state revised code 9.68 and Article 1, Section 4 of the state constitution, which for those who don't know, Article 1, Section 4 of the Ohio Constitution specifically is the right to keep and bear arms in the state, as it states. Pull this up real quick and we'll talk about that for a minute. As it states here, the people have the right to bear arms for their defense and safety, but standing armies in time of peace are dangerous to liberty and shall not be kept up, and the military shall be in strict subordination to the civil power. So yeah, basically, as of September 1st, 1851 here in Ohio, we have the right to keep and bear arms in the state through Article 1, Section 4 is what it is there, which is what this is being challenged on, as well as State Revised Code 9.68, which is specifically the preemption law, what it is there. It said in August 2023, a Delaware County Common Pleas Court judge issued a preliminary injunction halting enforcement of the ordinances while the case known as Doe versus Columbus proceeded through the litigation. And this is what we'll pick it up from here, because we actually can do this past our weird things that had prices on the side. There's what it is. Yeah, let's see where we're at. Yeah, so rather than wait for a final ruling, Columbus, probably most likely Andrew Ginther, and then the piece of shit city council, like your Zach Klein types, who's a city lawyer, there's what it is, etc., sought to appeal the injunction immediately. According to a report by Court News Ohio, the 5th District Court of Appeals rejected the appeal, determining it had no jurisdiction until the trial court completed the case. Columbus escalated the matter to the state's highest court, being the state Supreme Court. By a 5-2 margin, the state's Ohio Supreme Court sided with Columbus, which is absolute bullshit, by the way. That alone is just complete fuckery. So the majority determined that the preliminary injunction blocking the municipality from enforcing a new ordinance constitutes a final order subject to immediate appeal, which is absolute bullshit, honestly, dude. So Justice Daniel R. Hawkins authored the majority opinion explaining that both the state and municipalities possess a, quote, sovereign interest in enacting and enforcing litigation. He wrote that a court's order enjoining the operation of such laws creates irreparable injury to that sovereign interest, which is absolute bullshit entirely, dude. No, it fucking doesn't. What it does is it is quite literally deprivation of rights under color of law, which I talked about before, dude. And when you look at deprivation of color of law, which is a misdemeanor crime in all 50 states in this country, you have 4 different rulings for that. The first one being 366 days in jail. Anyone pulling this shit can never hold office again. The second one being a 10-year prison sentence, again, lifetime ban from ever holding political office. Third one, life imprisonment. Fourth one, death penalty, all of which depend on the severity of the crime is what it is there. This one in particular, I would think, honestly, constitutes at least life imprisonment, honestly. So Chief Justice Sharon L. Kennedy joined the opinion along with Justice Patrick R. DeWine, which is Mike DeWine's son, Joseph Dieters, who was put in there by DeWine, and Megan E. Shanahan. So Patrick Fisher dissented without issuing a written opinion. He really should have done that, honestly, because I think this is the guy that's up for re-election, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, this is the dude that won re-election last year is what it was. So the majority grounded its reasoning in the Home Rule Amendment of the Ohio Constitution, which grants municipalities broad authority to relegate for the public welfare, which, again, how the hell are you going to relegate public welfare when you are literally banning how many rounds someone can have in a magazine? And then what was the other thing? Let me go back up here real quick. Yeah, negligent storage of a firearm, which, again, it goes back to the whole safe storage law bullshit, dude. It's the whole point of safe storage laws is they're completely unenforceable is what it is. You have the only way to enforce a safe storage law would be to literally have the police break people's Fourth Amendment rights and illegally enter their homes is what it is, to go check to make sure that those firearms would be in a locked case or a locked box or a gun safe or a gun lock or whatever the case be is. So it's completely unenforceable to begin with, number one. Number two is completely unconstitutional because, again, it breaks Fourth Amendment rights as well as Second Amendment rights in this country. So, yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit, dude. And the state Supreme Court should be fucking ashamed of themselves what it is, bro, for even allowing this crap to go on. But anyway, yeah, it said municipalities, authority, public safety, public welfare. So the otherwise stated Home Rule Amendment confers on municipalities a sovereign interest in exercising police powers to enact legislation for public good, the opinion claimed, which, again, is absolute bullshit because you're literally committing deprivation of law in order to enforce this crap. That's what it is, dude, which, like I said, in itself is a misdemeanor crime. It really should be a federal felony at this point, honestly. It needs to be, because if it was just a literal felony, I mean, a federal felony, it wouldn't need to be a federal felony. But yeah, it needs to be at least a felony anyway. Because if it is a felony, then we, the people, could actually go arrest these fucking oath breakers, is what it is then, dude, ourselves. Whether it be state Supreme Court justices, whether it be Andrew Ginther in the city council that passed these unconstitutional bullshit ordinances, what it is there, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, continuing on here, it said, justices recognize the inherent conflict between elected bodies passing laws and courts reviewing their constitutionality. Quote, in this case, the city enacted ordinances that its elected council members and mayor believe, rightly or wrongly, will address gun violence in the city. There's no such thing as gun violence, dude. What there is there's fucking gang violence. And when you start looking into the whole gang violence thing, who is behind 99% of it? It's black youth, it is Latino youth, etc. So it's a bunch of fucking YNs, bro. Anyway, so they single. Where now? Yeah, Columbia Gun Violence City. So they single trial judge, rightly or wrongly, found these ordinances factually unconstitutional and with a stroke of a pen enjoined the city from enforcing them. So it's Justice Jennifer Brenner, who's a Democrat, filed a dissent, contending that state law provides no automatic right for municipalities to appeal preliminary injunctions. She observed that the General Assembly passed an amendment in 2024, giving the state itself the authority to appeal such injunctions after trial judges block state laws. That amendment, however, excluded municipalities from its scope, as it should have. And that goes on to talk about what Jennifer Brenner was talking about there. Wait, I'm pretty sure Brenner's a Democrat. I think she's a Democrat. Pretty sure she's a Democrat. I need to confirm this, honestly, in this one. Yeah, she's Democrat. Yeah, she's like the only Democrat on the panel right now, is what it is. So I think she might be termed out pretty soon, if I'm not mistaken. Or she's up for re-election one of these days soon, and that's what it is. So yeah, it's pretty interesting to think that a Democrat's the one that's like, hey, no, this is bullshit. So anyway, so Brenner cautioned that the majority's logic would allow any municipality whose ordinances is temporarily blocked to bypass the statutory requirements of revised code 2505.02b, which is governing when orders become final and applicable. She maintained that a city seeking the most effective remedy should appeal after a full trial with complete evidence and argument, not before the underlying constitutional question is resolved. Exactly, dude. Like, and this is what Democrats love to do, by the way. They're like, oh no, let's fucking do a bunch of fucking shit over here, is what it is, dude. And then literally force people to fight for their rights, is what it is, dude. So addressing those who might worry about a single judge wielding too much power, Brenner emphasized that Ohio's judicial branch is empowered and required to rein in laws that go too far, which is exactly what this crap is, by the way. It's unconstitutional mag bans, it's unconstitutional safe storage stuff that can never be enforced because it would completely break Fourth Amendment rights of the people that live in the cities that it is there. So the Supreme Court sent the case back to the 5th District to reevaluate the substance of Columbus's appeal. The decision represents a setback for every Ohioan who believes in the constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Ruling enables cities like Columbus to prolong legal battles over clearly unconstitutional gun restrictions by appealing injunctions the moment they are issued. It says gun owners will now face the burden of fighting the same legal war across multiple courts while hostile municipalities exploit prodigal loopholes to keep their illegal laws in play. The entire purpose of Ohio's preemption statute here in the state is to prevent local governments from creating a maze of conflicting gun regulations that burden law-abiding citizens. By the way, this is the exact same reason why back in 2023/2024, why the state actually did our knife laws the right way again. Thankfully, thank God, the dude who was one of the Firearms Policy Coalition guys and is also the founder of Knife Rights, an organization there, he was the one that came with 2 other people that are part of that part of that knife organization that helped get this hodgepodge of bullshit out of the fucking door and just put an actual thing across the board. And that's exactly what these assholes in Columbus are trying to do there. They're trying to create a maze of conflicting gun regulations to fuck us all over, where it's like, oh, you can't have a fucking 20-round mag now in your gun. Oh, you can't have a fucking 15-round mag now in your gun in the city of Columbus or, you know, city limits or whatever there in Franklin County. And it's like, the fuck I can't, bitch. I have the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. We literally have constitutional carry in the state and have had it for almost 4 years now, since 2022, which, by the way, this coming June 13, 2026, baby, will be the 4-year anniversary of Ohio Patriot Education Network. So anyway, this hat feels kind of weird in my head. I think it's the way it's like done or whatever. I feel like I gotta go back to the Magpul hat now. Oh yeah, that feels so much better, dude. Like it's like right in that area, like it fits like the brim of my head basically perfectly, where this one doesn't have that kind of crooked is what it is. So yeah, it's got that nice coolness is what it is there, which is what a hat should be doing, honestly. Yeah, like I said in the beginning of the episode here, this is the one I got on sale on Amazon's Big Deal Days for like, I think it was like $12.71 or something like that, whereas normally this is like a $25 to $30 hat, and I'm just like, yeah, I would never pay that for it. So, but yeah, you can't beat that $13 hat, is what it is, bro. So anyway, yeah, going back to what I was reading here, what it is. So yeah, it creates a maze of conflicting gun regulations that burden law-abiding citizens. When the courts make it easier for cities to evade that protection, the Second Amendment pays the price. Ohioans who cherish their rights must remain vigilant and recognize this fight is far from over. And this basically leads to what I was saying to begin with in this episode, which is I'm seriously considering doing the Open Carry rally in Columbus this summer over this shit. And what that means, basically, because it has to be, how'd they put it now for that ordinance? I think it was 30 rounds or more, I believe. Yeah, let's see what it says here. Yeah, quote-unquote large capacity magazines capable of holding more than 30 rounds each. So you got your standard capacity, obviously, that carries 30 rounds there. So essentially we'd have to get either the 40-round mags, for everybody have a 40-round mag in their AR is what it is there, or you would have to basically get those like Surefire 60-round mags is what it is there. So, which it might be worth doing, honestly. We can get enough people to do that stuff. And hell, if it comes down to it, dude, I'll just buy a bunch of fucking 40-round mags and hand them out to everybody is what it is there. So, but obviously, when it's all said and done, I'm collecting those mags back at the end of the day because I'm not just going to give somebody a free fucking mag like that. It's going to cost me a bunch of money is what it is there. So, but yeah, it might be seriously worth it to do it up in Carry Rally this summer, though. Because enough is enough of this fuckery, dude. Enough is enough of putting up with the unconstitutional tyranny of these scumbag-ass cities, breaking state preemption, and then you have these dickhead courts that side with their asses what it is there. So, exactly. Yeah. I don't know if I think I showed this one before. This was the hat our friend MK Joe, aka Krabby Turtle, sent us in a care package a while back. It's a nice Hornady hat. And then I also got this other Magpul hat right here. I think this one was on sale too, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say this was under $20 when I bought this one like 6-8 months ago, whatever it was now. So yeah, they're pretty nice hats though, is what it is. So, and now we got the free Smith & Wesson emblem hat to add to the mix there. So go ahead and set that on the thing there. Just keep this Magpul hat on. So yeah, the Hornady hat was pretty nice too. Feels good on my head. I was gonna get some ammo today that was Hornady, but it was a little bit more expensive than it was the last time around. Literally about 2 weeks ago, they had a different flyer up the shop I was at today. And I got the 1522 there, and yeah, it was. I want to say it was like $10 a box, and I bought it like maybe 14 to 16 days ago, something like that. And then today it was like 13 a box of 20, and I'm just like, yeah, it's a little bit expensive, bro. Especially when they had Winchester sitting right next to it that was like 11 a box. So I picked up a couple boxes of those with them. So, and yeah, apparently, I don't know if there's an ammo shortage going on right now or not, but supposedly, places are limiting now how much you can buy from them, because specifically the fin that I was at today is what it was. My cousin and I were talking to his relative. It would be his wife's. I believe this woman is his wife's cousin that helped us out. Is what it was. She was the one that helped me with the hat. Is what it was. Obviously for the Smith and Wesson deal days is what it is there. So yeah, I got the hat. Got a $25 gift card, which was nice. That's one of the free promos there. And then she threw in some cool stickers as it was then too. So yeah, I got hooked up like a motherfucker on that one. But anyways, good times had by all. But anyway, but yeah, when we were there, we were talking with her about because they had signs up on the thing that said it was 9mm, 223, 5.56, and I think there was like one other round that would have been a NATO round. Maybe it was just those three. But either way, it was at least those three anyway. But they were now limiting to 20 boxes per person per day for purchase. So I don't know if there is like any more shortage going on or not there, but yeah, crazy stuff, man. So I would say honestly, if you're not stocked up on ammo at this point, like do yourself a favor and go get some boxes. What it is, man, because you never know. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was a slight shortage anyway, especially with what everything's going on in Iran right now is what it is. Or at least they would use that as like a scapegoat because of NATO is what it is there. Because obviously when you look at what was being, limited per day, it's literally 3 different NATO rounds is what it is there. Well, I guess technically 2 different NATO rounds and then the equivalent of a NATO round, which would be the 223 version. So it'd be your 5.56 NATO, your 9mm, that's also NATO, and then 223, which would basically be like a substitute then is what it is. So, but yeah, I don't know. To me, it doesn't really matter, honestly. I mean, I think most of my uppers I got off of Delta Team and stuff like that are probably, I think they're like 223 wild. I think there's a couple that are 5.56 legitimately is what it is there. So usually I'll just buy 223 is what it is then. Just because it's just easier that way. I know the wild ones can do 5.56 too is what it is, but not if you have like if it's like a full auto lower or something like that, which I don't have obviously. But if it was something like that, like I know that they can't handle that is what it is there. Whereas only the legitimate 5.56 chambered uppers can actually handle the full auto dispersion of rounds. So anyway. Yeah, I don't think 308 was on that list though. So which I thought was kind of weird. Like I think maybe it was just 9mm, 223, and 5.56, honestly. Or maybe it was like 7.62 by 51 or something was another one. I don't know. I swear to God there was like a fourth one, but I can't remember what it was though. So, but it was at least those first three anyway. So, and yeah, like she was telling us, she said it was because of like supply demand stuff was what it was then or whatever. And then she was telling us there was a guy that came in because it was funny because my cousin was asking her, he was like, how many people are going to come up here and buy like 20 boxes per day, or the case being? And she's like, you'd be surprised. And I literally looked her in the face, looked him in the face, and I was like, I'd buy 20 boxes per day if I had the money. So, and then she was saying something about there was a guy that came up like 2 days before that or whatever. I think it was right before they put the signs or whatever. And he was buying trying to buy like full cases of stuff. So he basically bought whatever he could then when they were like, no, it's only 20 box limits or whatever. He's like, well, fine, then I'm just going to get 20 boxes of this, 20 boxes of that, 20 boxes of whatever then. It does the way that their sign was signed up, though, was kind of weird, though, because it almost acted like it was like any combination of the three of those rounds that would equate to like 20 boxes per day, but it didn't specifically state that. So I'm guessing you could buy like 20 boxes of 9mm, 20 boxes of 5.56, and then potentially 20 boxes of 223 as well, for that matter. Or maybe they would try to fuck you and be like, oh no, you can only buy 223 or 5.56, and that is 20 boxes, and then you can buy the 20 boxes of 9mm on top of that is what it is or something. But either way, it is what it is. So, but yeah, because me and my cousin were having the conversation after I got into his truck. Then we were driving back here is what it is. And he was like, well, how many people really need that much ammo? And I'm like, you got to think about it, man. You got a new gunner coming into a shop every single day, or at least probably multiple people actually that are new to firearms a little bit is there. So you could potentially have, 3 or 4 people walk into that store today and buy their first handgun or buy their first AR for that matter. And they're going to want to buy a bunch of ammo for it there to go train is what it is there. So yeah, you could easily eat through, 20 boxes, even just a range day is what it is. Granted, it would be a fairly decent amount of a range day is what it is there, but even just practicing, you could easily eat through a lot of that day is what it is. So yeah, I could easily see somebody going in there and buying 20 boxes a day, going to a range, and then, going back the next day and buying another 20 boxes, honestly. But yeah, I know that there was an Academy Sports Open here recently up in the Belden area there that where Finn's at. And they actually said now they're going to start, they're not only price matching stuff, anything that somebody can find ammo-wise, they will actually give people a 5% discount of whatever the cheapest thing that they can find at some of the businesses there. So they're definitely trying to fuck these people what it is there, which is not cool. But it makes sense. I mean, you're a giant conglomeration versus a company that literally has, I think it's like 6 stores here in Ohio is what it is. So now, granted, they've been around since the year I was born back in '85, so they've been around. They'll be having their 41st anniversary is what it is here. So maybe they already had it this year. I'm not sure. But yeah, Finn Feather Fur is a good place, man. It's good people. It's, from my understanding, it's an employee-owned business. As long as you're a full-time employee there, you can basically buy in. It's like almost like a stock thing or whatever. You can like buy into their like stock is what it is, and be like part owner of the company is what it is there. So it's nice on that aspect of things because you eventually are able to build financial wealth for yourself as what it is in your family. And that's how it should be, man. It should be, and that's how it should always be, honestly, in our country. You should have anybody be able to go from zero to hero is what it is there. From, just some poor guy on the street to some dude that is at least part owner of something or has some kind of generational wealth for their family to hand down to is what it is there. So, but unfortunately, that might be what it's called. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's like a whole thing though. Because I was actually figuring it out too. Because I was like, okay, how much actually is 20 boxes of 5.56? Because you're talking about 20 round packs, obviously at that point. So you'd be talking about 400 rounds you're buying per day is what it is there. So that's not insignificant, dude. You're essentially, because when you break that down into 30 round mags, obviously. 50. Yeah, that's like 13 and a half mags almost. Or 13.1/3 mags, I guess it would be. So, yeah, that's quite a bit of ammo, honestly, for per day, honestly, dude. And then when you break it down to the 50 round boxes of 5.5 or 9 mil, then. So, yeah, you would be talking about 20 of those per day. Let's see, 50, 100. It's like 1,000 rounds per day, bro. So, yeah, that's actually quite a bit, man. So, anyway, I could see if they were a good price too, for that matter. You were just buying them to like hoard for a little bit and then resell to somebody else or whatever that needed them or something. Or even if you're just like a family that wanted to have like a decent ammo stock is what it is there because you're shooting all the time is what it is. So, who knows? That being said, I did pick up a bunch of little, when I was there, I picked up a bunch of little 50 packs that they had of the Blazer 22s. They weren't one of the ones that was on the 20 round box count or whatever, but they were still $4 a box. So I was like, I'm going to pick up a few of these is what it is then, because those Blazer round nose 22s are pretty good. I've had some good success with those in the past, and the 1522 I used to have. And as far as I'm aware, every other every other 22 caliber handgun besides my TX22 will cycle them pretty well. I don't know what's up with that TX22. It was one of the first 10,000 off the line there, but for some reason it doesn't want to cycle anything that's not the copper nose, or not copper nose, the copper plated hollow point Federals, the ones that come in the 525 and 550 packs like that, which pisses me off because Walmart stopped selling the 550s. I think it was around 2020 lockdowns, give or take. It was like right after that they stopped selling the stuff. I don't know if Federal stopped making the 550 packs or what it was, dude, around lockdown time. But yeah, like it was so nice to be able to go to Walmart and just buy one of those 550 bricks for, Andrew Jackson. And unfortunately, they don't have those anymore. So when you got other places charging, $35, $40, $50 for a fucking 525 brick, is what it is now. I'm just like, I can't justify that price, man. So I don't know. I think one of these days I'm probably going to get an updated version of TX22, honestly. Just because of the fact that one I have currently is not an optic one. And I would like to have one that's an optic ready, is what it is there. So I might just get a new one, is what it is then, and see if that new one wouldn't cycle the stuff as what it is then or something. But I have. So this is what's weird, and I think it might be the diameters of the actual rounds, because I noticed when it comes to the Federals, the way that they're shaped is almost like a little bit more of a like cone-ish kind of deal there is what it is, and they feed perfectly in that ramp is what it is. And what happens is if I'm feeding through anything else, and I'm talking about any other round for that matter, whether it be golden bullets, whether it be thunderbolts, anything from Remington there is what it is, any other Federals, any kind of round nose from Federal that is there. If I'm doing rapid firing, where it's just like as fast as possible, basically, and even when I'm shooting slow for that matter, it still does it. What'll end up happening is it'll go, 16 round mags. It'll feed through somewhere between 7 and 8 rounds, and it'll start jamming. Like it won't feed properly or something like that after that then. So I don't know what's going on with that is what it is. But yeah, and like even the 555s from Winchester and stuff like that do the same thing too, because it's a much bigger hollow point there is what it is. Doesn't want to feed into that ramp properly is what it is. But yeah, for some reason, like those Federal 525s and 550s, those are the only ones that it'll feed 100% accuracy with. So I have no idea, man. And as far as I'm aware, it was like that because I've had 2 different barrels for that gun. I had the original barrel that was one of the, like I said, first 10,000 off the line. That was one of the ones that was fouling out its own rifling is what it is, because it was done by that third-party company when they first made those guns. For some reason, they had to do that. And house is what it is for those barrels. They decided to outsource to a third-party company, and they fucked up the rifling is what it is there. But even with that one, it still wouldn't feed anything else besides those 525s and 550s is what it is there. So, but now with the second one, it still does the same exact thing. It doesn't matter if it's a new mag. It doesn't matter if it's an old mag. It doesn't matter if it's, a different kind of mag. Like, it doesn't want to feed anything else properly, But like I said, when you put 16 to 21 rounds of the copper-plated hollow points from Federal in there, you can just literally pull that trigger as fast as possible, and it will legitimately send 16 to 21 rounds downrange in seconds. No fails, no failure to feeds, no failure to fires, nothing. It is just bang, 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 16 to 21 times in a row. No ramp issues, no jam ups, no nothing. But every other round has the same thing there, where it just jams at some point around 7 to 9 rounds in, basically. So I have no idea. The only thing I don't think I can think is it's got to be the gun somehow. But who knows? Like I said, it gives me an excuse at this point, honestly, to buy a different gun then too, for that matter. So, and if worse comes to worse, it would be something where I would just simply buy a replacement firearm at that point, and then probably just sell off the old one at some point down the line or something like that then. So, but anyway, I don't know. It's a good gun though, and like I said, knowing what it will feed through and reliably feeds what it is there, I could easily see doing that as like a 2-gun competition or whatever. Then now that I have the 1522 again, now it would be the TX22 and the 1522 doing 2-gun rimfire stuff, which I do still want to make 3-gun rimfire a reality at some point in the future, because I really think honestly the next purchase down the line, I really want to get one of those Taurus revolvers in 22. The 942s that came out like 3 or 4 years ago now. Because I was talking to some people about that recently up there, and they didn't have a sale on it yet. And I think it was right above $4 currently. And I was like, you guys let me know when that's below that. And I'm totally coming up and getting one. So yeah, if that ever goes into the 3s is what it is there, I'm definitely going up there and get one of those is what it is there. That being said, they also had I did not realize that Smith & Wesson, besides making their FPCs in 9mm, they now have a 22 version of that gun as well. That apparently the mags for that, there is a Smith & Wesson handgun in 22 that it actually shares mags with. So I'm not saying that I'm going to go get those at some point in the future, but if I ever have the money to get those, maybe I will. Maybe I'll make that a reality, because that would be pretty cool. And I do like the ability to mag share is what it is there, which is nice. So, but like I said, I think priorities right now are going to be, I wouldn't mind having a little 22 revolver at some point, just to have a backup pistol to my regular pistol, which is obviously the Taurus G3C right now. And then, of course, I recently purchased a G3C Toro, which I now have. I'm not going to show that, obviously, because I can't legally on these streams. But what I can do is I can show something cool I got for that recently, which is a nice little RMR. So I'm going to put that on here in a couple minutes as soon as I finish up the stream. So yeah, from my understanding, these Zolskis are pretty good. Literally everything else I found that was an RMR or anything else for that matter that did the Taurus plate footprints, it was almost as much as the fucking gun. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not paying, what I paid for this firearm into a dot for is what it is. That's just insanity is what it is. So yeah, I've been doing some research and stuff like that. And Zolski was one of the few that had the Amazon Big Deal Days recently, and it was like 20% off what it normally costs. So I was like, yeah, I can't pass that up, man. That must be God smiling down upon me. I mean, my mom too, for that matter, and being like, hey, Adam, get your dot now. So, but yeah. So I think it should work out pretty well. And it's nice too, because it also has a, you got to pull this out of here real quick. So you got your little cleaning cloth over there. So you got multiple things that come in this package. You got a little screwdriver thingy. It's actual battery for the dot itself. Left those things in the back there. Then you have a whole bunch of different screws. A bunch more screws. I think there might be a plate in one of these too, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's just a bunch of screws in both of these. Yeah, so just a bunch of screws in one of these. So, and then, oh, that's what it is. yeah, there's an actual whatchamacallit plate that you can put on if you want to put this on an AR or something like that. This actually has a little there for the Picatinny rails, what it is. And then as for the dot itself, though, I can pull this piece off of here without it. There we go. Jesus, it's hard to get off here. It's almost like I need like a piece to put through there and just yank it off. There we go. Yeah, there's a little RMR dot there. It's pretty nice. What's really nice about this is that shake away technology on it. So if it goes, shuts itself off, you can just simply shake it away because what it is there. As far as I'm aware, this is some kind of glass in here, which is nice because I know there are some other dots on the market that are RMRs and stuff like that that are actually plastic, is what it is, which is not cool when you're charging people $100+ for them dots. So, yeah, pretty nice little dot there. So I'm going to put that on the G3C is what it is, the Toro version. And then I'm going to put a light on the bottom of that as well. And then that setup will be my home defense gun going forward. And it might be a race gun down the line if I ever do like 3-gun competition or something down the road, but that would also require my knee to not be fucked. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon is what it is. But if it does, you guys will know about it first. So now, granted, that being said, I would also need to go. That would actually be one thing I would definitely need to pick up would be some kind of a. Actually, I don't know because I'm thinking about that right now. I'm not sure if they would have a category where I could use my AR-12 in the competition or not. Because if I was going to do something like that, I'd want to have like some kind of a semi-auto is what it is there. So yeah, because it would either be AR-15, the Citadel Boss AR-12, and then the G3C is the competition guns, or it would be AR, G3C, and then I would have to pick up probably like some kind of semi-autos what it is there. So, but either way. That being said, I definitely have finally upgraded a lot in the past year. Here's what it is. Since I bought I'm trying to remember how many. I technically got, wait, was it? Yes, I got 2 lowers. I got 2 of the 1-horse lowers recently. For the uppers I've had sitting around forever is what it is. So that basically allowed me to build 2 ARs that day is what it is. And then got the Taurus, and then I got the 1522 is what it is. So I technically have purchased 4 guns in the past like 2 months or something then. But they were all good deals. So that being said, I know the 1-horse loaders are not quite as cheap as the old Anderson ones used to be. They're about another $50 on top of what Anderson used to be for the price difference there. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, Anderson got bought out by Ruger because Ruger wanted to be a bunch of assholes. And ironically, Ruger themselves are looking to be bought out by Beretta. So, yeah. There's supposed to be a hostile takeover going on there within Ruger, where people from Beretta were just buying up a bunch of Ruger stock, is what it is, and trying to do some 51% stuff recently. I don't know if that ever succeeded for them or not, though, but it'll be interesting to see if it did. It is. I just realized how dark it is outside right now, even though it's not even 6 yet. I guess technically that's 6 now, but yeah, you can tell it's been overcast like a motherfucker, and it was definitely rainy as hell this afternoon. We My cousin and I left the gun shop. It was right around 3 o'clock. Maybe like 5 till or so, give or take. And literally as soon as we walked outside, thank God we were able to park like right by the store. It was like one of those spots like right up front there. It wasn't quite a handicap spot, but it was close enough or whatever. Like right by the entrance there, they had their little overhang awning that was able to protect his truck then. But yeah, as soon as we walked out, it was just pouring down rain. Whereas 20, 30 minutes before that, it was fine. So, and then of course, by the time I got back here, I realized that the dumbasses at Amazon had sent my package here. So I need to go check out exactly when they delivered that this afternoon, because it was sitting here getting rained on for who knows how long, probably at least an hour is my guess. Thankfully, what was in it was a box within a box, because it was a bunch of tissues, and thankfully I think they're called like Presto or something like that, or Prostin, something like that. It's like Presto or something like that. They will ship their stuff and put it in like a box, and then that box will go into like a bigger Amazon box. I don't really understand why they literally don't just like ship it in their fucking box through Amazon. Like, it's just dumb. Like, you're just wasting packaging at that point, but it is what it is. So it's semantics. But yeah, my plan right now for this evening is going to be to put that dot on my G3C, and then most likely put a piece of pick rail on the 1522, and put I don't know if it'll be an angled foregrip on there, if it'll be something else right now. It just depends. It might just be a stop of some kind, honestly. I might just see if I can find one of my whatchamacallits there, because now I have. They were really nice. They were like Magpul, like grips that were like really like slim and stuff like that. And that's what I have on one of the ARs in there, and that shit is so nice, bro. So fucking nice. But yeah, that thing's perfect, honestly. The problem is obviously you have to have it be Magpul, because if your rail is any kind of M-lock, sorry, not Magpul, you have to have it be M-lock rails for that specific stop, is what it is. Because if it is a key mod stop, or if it is key mod rail, it does not fit those M-locks, unfortunately. So you can only do it on an actual M-lock rail, because you can't actually put the stop piece on a rail is what it is. Like, it has to go directly onto the actual guard of the gun. So, but it's also nice because it's like minimalist stuff is what it is there. And I think I'm probably going to do that for like most of my M-locks is what it is then. So if I can find one of those, I might just do that to this one without putting a piece of pick rail on there is what it is then. If I can't find that, I'll just put like a stop or something on there is what it is then, on a piece of pick rail. So either way, they'll be fun. And then I'll just probably screw with some dots and stuff like that is what it is. I got like, I don't know what I fucking have anymore is what it is. It's like so much stuff is everywhere anymore from moving and then just putting a bunch of stuff away is what it is. So I don't know if I have extra scopes or dots or whatever it is there, or if I need to purchase another one of those things or what it's going to be, but it is what it is. So that being said, I will be heading out here momentarily. Hope you guys enjoyed this stream. Fuck Columbus, fuck the Ohio State Supreme Court, and fuck anti-gunners in general. It is time to do things the correct way. It's time to get rid of this garbage-ass legislation once and for all. And it's time to make new legislation like the Firearms Recovery Act become reality, and have gun owners that have had their firearms stolen in the past be able to get reimbursed by the state is what it is, and have Ohio become the first state to do that and make that a trend nationwide to where other states adopt the same legislation. And then I can sit here and safely say that Ohio Patriot Education Network was 100% at the foreground of stuff, that we were the standard bearer, that we were the innovator of things and get shit done. By the way, if anybody knows of a company So going back to Smith & Wesson hat for a minute there, their little circle patch here. If anybody knows of a company that makes like a circle patch like this, that can either be sewn onto a hat or potentially could just be like emblazoned onto a hat and have like any kind of stuff written in it, then I would love to get some kind of circle patch like this, but have it be like the Ohio Patriot Education Network, like around the circle itself is what it is there, and make us a hat finally is what it is, because I would love to have our company actually be able to come forward and do some good stuff for people is what it is there, because it would be nice to actually have official merchandise then to be able to fund this organization and not have to deal with, you know, basically pulling money in my own pocket just to go take a trip down to Columbus or do anything like that for that matter. So I'm also not going to beg people what it is there. Be like, oh yeah, please support us by giving us $20 here or there, whatever it is there, dude. It's like, no, I'm just going to do it for the love of the game, dude. I'm going to do it for the love of the Second Amendment is what it is there. Unlike other organizations that claim to be pro-2A, but yet they'll sit there and every fucking email they'll send you be like, hey, we haven't made our third quarter, we haven't made our fourth quarter, we haven't made our first quarter bullshit. Please give us money. It's like, no, you're never going to see that from us, dude. You can fuck all that. If you can't get it done, you can't get it done, bro. It's that simple. Like, I get you got to have money for the fight, but at the same time, like, there's money to be had other ways, dude. Merchandise is one of them. So, yeah, I mean, it would actually be nice to have something similar to this mag patch right here, but then just have it be like Ohio Patriot Education Network. So, but yeah, like I said, I do like this hat quite a bit. Obviously, I like it for the $13 I paid for it. I do not like it for the, I think it's like 26 or 28 trying to sell for it right now on Amazon. And I'm just like, nah, that's not happening, bro. So, because if there was other hats on that site that were for that same price that I paid for this guy right here, I would definitely pick those up. But I'm not sitting there paying like $30 for a fucking Magpul hat. That's just insane. So, or really any hat for that matter. That kind of price tag is insane. But anywho. Although that being said, I think I did pay, before we get a day, I'm pretty sure I did pay. It was either 20 or 25 for my Man of God hat recently. But that was also because, you know, I love Jesus is what it is. So the only thing, and you would think honestly for the price tag of this hat, they would have made a better fold on here, because like you can like press into it, and like has like a bunch of like, it's almost like it needs cut and then like re-sewn down to be like properly there, because it's got a little bit extra like, I don't know, like air or something in it there is what it is. It's still a nice hat though is what it is. But yeah, pretty cool. You obviously got Jesus with the thorns and then the lion next to him is what it is there. So, and then obviously my other go-to here is my 2A 1791 hat. So I just picked up this random hat the other day at Walmart for like $5. So, last one on the shelf that was at that price. This would actually probably be the hat coloration that I would just put like a patch on or something like that and have it be a Ohio Patriot Education Network on there. Because I can see myself wearing this hat all year round is what it is with the open logo on there. So, but either way, it's after 6. I'm getting hungry. I got some stuff I got to do too. So, haven't really eaten today. I think I ate like a cereal bar this morning is what it is, and that's about all I've had to eat today. So, I'm gonna probably go make some. Not sure what I'm gonna make yet. Maybe I'll do some brats or something tonight, and then do some. Maybe some fries with them. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll do some brats and then do some. I got some. What do you call those things now? Fuck, I'm trying to remember what I'm saying now. Yeah, it would be. Sorry, that's my fryer going off right now. Yeah, maybe I'll do some like smoked sausage things and then some pretzel bites because I got some of those the other day when I got my Walmart order done up. So I'm actually pretty pissed at the Walmart pickers though on that one. I realized, I talked to my sister about this the other day, if I'm going to order stuff from those people, there are certain things before I pick up the order itself that I would just go inside and get like different items is what it is myself then. Specifically milk is what it is because I ended up getting it on Sunday, which was what was last Sunday? Last Sunday was the 5th. The half gallon of milk they gave me expired on Monday the 6th. So it was literally 1 day from expiration. And it's like, dude, seriously, like look back a little further and grab like 7th, 8th, 9th, something like that on the freaking shelf. So don't be giving me shit that's going to expire in a day or expires like even that day for in the one case the one item there's what it was. Like it's just ridiculous. Which, I mean, I get it. You're picking for like 10 different people's orders or whatever, then probably would be my guess. But at the same time, like, have the decency to, like, you know, not everybody's going to eat whatever you're giving them that fucking day, bro. Like, maybe, I don't know, give it a couple more days off of that or whatever then. So, but yeah, milk is the one thing I would definitely go buy myself there is what it is. And same thing with a couple other things on that list. But for the most part, everything else is good to go. And I realize I really need to get away from processed foods these days. I need to stop eating all this processed food is what it is because it's definitely making me a lot heavier than I need to be. I think it's breaking down this chair a lot quicker than it needs to be, which is not good. So, but yeah, I need to drop about at least 200 pounds almost right now, minimum, to be truly healthy again. And go from there. Plus, if I lost a bunch of weight, it'd probably take a lot of strain off my knee right now is what it is. Which is becoming a real pain in the ass right now. So I got to get my x-rays done on that kneecap because I never did get them done when my doctor ordered them months ago is what it was. I need to call them up Monday morning and be like, hey, are these ones you gave me back in the day, are they still valid? Or are you guys going to assign a new set of them, whatever the case be? If you can assign a new set, just send them over to the hospital there and I'll just get it done, you know, on such a day. Here's what it is. So, but yeah, I just need to go over there and get that done is what it is and go from there because I need to figure out what's wrong with this knee, if it needs to be cortisone shots in it or what it's made to be in this time, or if it is just like degenerating like kneecap issues and stuff like that's what it is there that are causing me to just be in serious pain all the time is what it is, dude. It sucks to hurt every single day, all day long. Like even just sitting here right now talking, like when I got my chiropractor today and got adjusted and like about right here, give or take, on my back. So it'd be like right in the upper middle of my back there is what it is. It's already hurting like shit right now. And God forbid, you know, I do any strenuous activity at all, it just hurts so much worse, dude. Fucking sucks, bro. I hate being broken. So, and knowing that every single cause of that comes back to a misdiagnosis at 18 and was put on medication I should have never been on to begin with, so it is there. That for 22 plus years now has caused every single health problem that I've had. Is just sucks, dude. It sucks knowing that more than half my life has been spent in just pure agony is what it is now. So that just seems to be getting worse and worse by the day anymore. But yeah. And what's even worse is going back to, you know, why we as an organization exist here is what it is. Besides gun rights, besides knife rights, we are also for weed rights is what it is, man, because For someone like me who's in pure agony is what it is, dude. When the only thing that can take away my pain is a Delta gummy of some kind, and these motherfucking scumbag ass rhinos here in Ohio want to ban that stuff and relegate it to fucking actual grow shops now is what it is. Fucking ridiculous what it is, man. And now I'm hearing there's like at least 1,000 businesses in Ohio currently right now that were pretty much vape shops that relied heavily on the Delta gummy products and the hemp products is what it is there. They're now facing bankruptcy and business foreclosures because a fucking piece of shit Mike DeWine, old rhino faggot, and all these other fucking dickhead piece of shit faggots like Matt Huffman and stuff like that who should have been kicked out of our fucking General Assembly over 2 years ago now. It's just ridiculous. This is what it is, man. So I'm so fucking sick and tired of these cocksuckers, dude. Fucking piece of shit old men fucking over the rest of us is what it is there, man. So to line their own goddamn pockets. It's like, no, we're going to remove your asses from office and we're going to bankrupt your fucking asses through lawsuits is what it is, bitches. And now is the time to start doing that with these motherfuckers, dude, for real. So this is the one time I will actually tell voters here in Ohio when it comes to the district Matt Huffman represents right now, which I believe is 78. Vote for the Democrat in November, dude. Get somebody else in there. Like we already pretty much knew what the match was going to be. It's going to be Matt Huffman versus this Jeffrey guy. Like vote for Jeff, dude. At least he's not fucking Huffman. At least he's not a career rhino sack of shit that hates gun rights and suppresses gun bills. For the entire General Assembly, he's the Speaker of the House in. It's a bunch of shit, honestly, dude. And then we'll actively attack your marijuana rights. We'll actively attack everything else that you can. It's just a bunch of shit, dude, entirely. Or he'll use his fucking idiot proxies like Gary Click and Cindy Abrams and stuff like that, who apparently, when it comes to Abrams, she is all pro-red flag law, dude. And she needs to go, too, at this point. She needs to be booted the fuck out of the General Assembly for life as well. So, anyway. It's time to make chamber jumping in the state of Ohio a non-loophole and start kicking these people out for good is what it is after 8 years. Turn them the fuck out and kick them the fuck out. It's that simple, honestly. And on that note, I will see you guys tomorrow for a new episode of Slicey Boy Saturday, which will be probably around 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, give or take. And we will be discussing Battle of the DC-53 folders on that one, and then we'll do another episode Sunday since we missed last week's, where we will do a matchup between VG10 Steel, D2, and DC-53 is what it is. And those will all be fixed blades on that particular stream. So hope you guys enjoy those ones. I will be back for those tomorrow and Sunday. Till later, I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Always be carrying. And always be ready to roll. And especially be prepared for future Islamic terrorist attacks, which I personally believe will happen come the 4th of July this year for the 250th anniversary of this country. Because what better way than to create a modern-day 9/11 type of situation than to do it on the biggest holiday in American history. So stay safe, stay vigilant, always be watching, always be carrying to prevent these things, etc., etc. And always situationally aware. Know your exits, know your exit strategies, be able to get out of any situation you can, and be able to deal with any kind of possible threat to the sovereignty of this country. That's that simple. Later, y'all. Peace.